Hey, hello everybody. After a wild tournament on Sunday, we are back. How are you doing, Mythical?
I'm doing great, Twin. Thanks for asking. I'm looking forward to seeing the Messenger again. And honestly, Megaman is one of my most favorite speedruns to watch still. There's just something about it that just gets me. I don't know. It's like that and Super Metroid are maybe the two things that I love to watch people race no matter how long I've been a member of the community. There's just something about it.
Yeah, there's something special about Megaman on the NES, especially that tight movement and super strong retro feel. You understand exactly what's going on, and the category we're doing is a little bit weird in that sense because there's no progression with the weapons you're getting. We are doing 10 Robot Master picked from Mega Man 1 to 6. So we are seeing a lot of different physics and mechanics, and it's hard to adjust very, very quickly. And we're doing the Messenger, which is at the total opposite of the platforming spectrum. It's completely different. It's almost not the same genre. Today we are going to stream 4 players, amongst them Taker, first on the leaderboard at 2,100 points. They gathered so much experience in the past 4 weeks on all those games that they're going to be hard to beat. And on Mega Man 1 to 6, their PB is at 20 minutes and 30 seconds, while Sablier is at 23:02. Those are very, very strong times on the game. Sablier is very good at the Messenger, and last time we've seen them on stream, they've had a difficult time, but we had a hard time to adjust because we didn't know what their PB was, but we totally figured out that their skill level was up there.
Right, yeah, and you can just look at the race times here, having over 200 points on a race in the Messenger, getting very close to that in Mega Man. It's really fun to see the difference between the grind times and the race times here. Or it's fun to see perhaps the lack of a difference between these two things. Sablé actually very close to PB several times all over the place across the UD here. So is a very strong racer. You only you like you, we're seeing they have a lot less race points compared to their grind points, just because they haven't gotten around to certain things. We haven't done a race of VVV yet, for example, but overall, they're placing them on the leaderboard, 10 points, 10 places higher in race, and that makes a lot of sense. It's basically just lawnmower holding them back at this point.
Yeah.
12:42 is a respectable lawnmower time. The 22 minutes is well, that's bad things can happen in that game. We're not playing lawnmower today. Only Messenger, only Mega Man, and that means Sablé is going to be a very strong player today.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see. For those who don't know what is going on, UD7 is a competition about speedrunning those 10 games you see on screen: The Messenger, Landmauer, VVV, Neo Turf Master, Minute, Out There Somewhere, Trackmania 2, Rack, Kirby's Dream Land, and Mega Man 1 to 6. So 10 different categories, 10 different runs to practice, and 3 times a week now we are doing like fun races and tournaments, so players can get some practice, some learning, some experience. And on the weekends, the last weekend of March and during April, we are going to do those 10 games in a row, and whoever is the fastest wins the
I think we
PB.
didn't
It's pretty easy.
we didn't get to see poor Devil Tifa's player card, but is also playing today. Has a remarkable number of stars competing in a number of tournaments, including a gold star. Took first place in the tournament last tournament. It was, I
Oh,
believe. Here
there
we
we
go.
go.
Two
Two.
first places actually.
Nice. Last tournament, like on Sunday, they were first for the entire 5 first game, and Lawnmower killed them. But they got a 6:59 on the tournament, on a race, live on Speed Gaming Sunday, and I'm pretty sure they're very, very happy with that. Sarek is going to be a very, very strong racer on the Messenger with a PB at 33.08 and a best race time at 33.57. They're amongst the best player in that game in the UD. For Megaman, it's going to be a little bit harder. A 30.58 time means they've done a couple of runs, but never got a satisfying time, I feel, and they're probably going to beat that tonight.
Yeah, I think the odds of that are pretty high. I couldn't help but notice 6 of Devil Tifa's 8 times were race PBs actually. So just a little something about how good Devil Tifa can be in races. We're starting off with a race of Megaman. The players are geared up here on the title screen, and it's worth going over again the specific goal for the Ultimate Decathlon Season 7. For this game, it's not even a game, it's games plural. We are going to be taking out 10 Robot Masters across all 6 of the classic NES Mega Man games. It's up to the players to choose which 10. They have to do 1 from each game at least. And so you could do, 5 from Mega Man 2 if you're Metalo and you're an extreme Mega Man 2 runner, and then 1 from the other 5 games. And you have to reset after each one. So, that otherwise you would probably do 5 Mega Man 2 bosses and carry over the weapon weaknesses into each of the stages. So to increase variety in which stages you do, you reset. So you're largely working with just the Buster, and in that way, I suppose you kind of get a little less variety. But in order to spread things out over across the 6 games, that's what we're doing here today. It's a totally unique category, and it's been fun to watch it evolve over the course of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to swap game from Mega Man 5 to 6 is a very, very hard transition because jumping and sliding in Mega Man 6 is very different, and Mega Man 3 is the biggest difficulty hurdle for me to adapt to because it lags way more. You have to slide for the first time, and there's a lot of very fast bosses in Mega Man 2, so you do a lot of Mega Man 2 and then you come into Top Man usually in Mega Man 3, and it's very, very hard to adjust to, so you have to do that very quickly. It's a fantastic category to discover all those different games for the players who never played them. And I hope we can do a fun tournament on all 46 Robot Master at some point, with maybe like a Joker system where you can skip some bosses, and that would be cool. You have to skip Iceman, period. That level and boss is impossible with Buster only, and even with the other weapons, it's pretty difficult. So if we ever do that, remember, skip Iceman.
Yeah, I would. I'm trying to think of a harder stage and boss combination across the entire series, and it might literally be Iceman as the worst. There was a 46 Robot Master tournament back in the day. I think it was Enemy TV was like the kind of the lead organizer. As well as some of us here at Speed Gaming. And oh boy, who was it? I think it was Fast at CC who walked away with the victory there, and runner-up was Prissy, I think. But it got very competitive. The category for 46 Robot Masters on MegaMan leaderboards.net kind of exploded. Suddenly there were people actively trying to grind out this kind of obscure, weird category across all these different games. But it was very cool, and had a really fun layout actually, where someone overlaid all 46 Robot Masters together. It's cute.
So actually, it's Nero Loser that won the tournament first place, and then Fast at CC second, and Prissy third, and
right.
Fourth place.
I think in Mega Man 3, I think.
Yeah, it's lots of very, very talented runners on that tournament. You can find the leaderboard if you want to have some 2016 nostalgia and tournaments results at the time. How many people? 20 runners was an insane amount, 24 runners. But 24 runners doing all Robot Master from Mega Man 1 to 6 is a lot. So if you've never seen Mega Man, probably it's a good time to see all those Robot Master. We are only going to see 10 of those, and probably all the same route among those 10 runners. Maybe Airman is going to be played instead of Starman on Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 5. Maybe, I don't know, Flame Man and Blizzard Man are good picks, as well as Windman for Mega Man 6. But some are theoretically good, like Needleman, but very
He's hard.
Yeah, almost impossible. And I think Taker does Magnet Man, actually. So we may see some interesting route divergences for those races.
As a, someone who appreciates speedrunning as a head-to-head competition, I really like seeing these kinds of decisions in differences and inequalities. But as a viewer and a commentator who has to follow the race and communicate to the audience exactly what's going on, makes it a little difficult when you're looking at two different stages. But we'll all get through it together. We'll see what routes everyone has in mind. But aside from kind of the Mega Man 6 choice, it seems most people are following the same route for the other 5 games. So it should be mostly straightforward as the players get set up here. I guess the favorite here is Taker of the Bunch. No, Devil Tifa is a little bit higher, but the two of them are going to be very close and probably a little bit out in front. Cellric probably, well, maybe not too much behind. I bet this PB of 29 minutes, 52 seconds could be improved here today, very likely. But they have the big advantage in the Messenger, so things will hopefully kind of even out a little bit as the players get started.
So here we go. Mega Man 1, no-brainer. Gutsman is the fastest and one of the easiest stages if you can manage to get past those pesky platforms right at the start of the stage. Get rid of those Mii tools, and here we go. Have to wait a little bit with one of the most annoying sound the NES can produce, but here we go. And if you know where the visual cue is on the leftmost side of the platform, it's pretty easy to jump correctly and dodge those traps. And
speaking of game sound, we might not have it currently on stream, so we'll look into that for you guys, don't worry. But you're right, it is a fairly easy stage as long as you're willing to damage boost through these Hammer Brother throwing guys. They are a huge problem otherwise, so the players are using the select button, which has a couple special properties in this game, and one of them is kind of canceling your knockback. So double tapping select to go through all those damage boosts. Devil Tifa is just a little bit behind Taker, but is much better on health. Taker took the damage, didn't get the refill, and then took a hit from the hopper at the end. I forget his name, the big guy, I think. So he's pretty low on health. We'll see how it goes here with Gutsman. If you're good with your jumps, you can prevent getting stunned, but it's not easy.
I have game sound on my end. Maybe it's been corrected. Please tell me if I have to adjust anything. Gutsman is very hard to do without taking a single hit. It's almost impossible to dodge those stomps, but mastering the select key is going to allow for a quick kill, and the Gutsman dies on all those players. And now the route is going to be very different depending on the player's preferences, and Taker is going for Flashman first, and Sablier, Devil Tifa, Sarek, all three goes to Metal Man first in Mega Man 2. We are going to see multiple bosses on Mega Man 2, and Sablier and Devil Tifa and Sarek as well go for the E-Tank. I'm surprised, but they're probably going to do a lot of damage boosting through those crushers here at the start of the stage. Usually, if you know Mega Man's 2 speedrun, there's a lot of zipping involved in that game, and we see the players use in sync those E-Tanks.
Yeah, these the Metal Man Zip is one of three or four that are like pretty easy to do, even with a minor amount of practice. So if they had access to the item 1 that you get from beating Heatman, they definitely would be doing it. But on this category, you do have to reset every time you defeat a Robot Master, so there is no chance to go pick up an item in Heatman and then bring it over to this stage. So Buster only strats means, for the most part, no zips. We might see an old school style zip when we get to Bubbleman, if we get to Bubbleman. Depends on the route the players take. Taker, the first one to get to the end of Flashman, which is probably the fastest stage, and is normally a very difficult fight on the difficult category, but on normal, it can be, you know, you only have to land half as many shots. Not so easy to obliterate it the way Taker did, though.
Oh, Middleman without the Quickman Boomerang is way harder. They start attacking. The Double Tifa is going for the perfect here, not trying to take as little damage as they can, and Middleman should die, but the fight is very slow for them here, and they're doing great still. Not dying on Middleman. Middleman can be a difficult boss, once again on the easy difficulty here. Well, normal difficulty. It's not too bad, and Middleman dies as well for Sarek. And Sablier enters Bubbleman stage. Sarek goes for Quickman, so does Double Tifa.
Alright, Taker trying to equal things up here by everyone going to the same stage, sadly making things a little bit difficult, but Bubbleman is making the stream a little bit difficult, destroying the bitrate that this waterfall is kind of infamous for. We'll see a zip probably in a little bit. Double Tifa is into the dark section here on Quickman. Selric going through the quick beams, of course, the instant kill beams that everyone remembers and is terrified of. So Double Tifa getting into this section now too. And here's the zip. Sablier is going to repeatedly open and close the menu to reset his fall speed, and then because you fall so slowly in water, you can actually get pretty far over to the right, and if you get far enough, you will be a little bit inside the wall. You'll be able to turn around, and I assume, I'm not sure if it's an A trigger or a B trigger zip, but look how fast you go once you're inside the wall. It does indeed save time. I remember this from, I don't know, 2013, maybe it must have been earlier than that this was kind of the strat for this level in this game. Really fun that it's kind of been brought back in this category.
The Buster on the category still does that, and it's cool to know all those tricks. Obviously, the runners can use and abuse as many glitches as they want if the categories allows them in the UD, and Megaman has no restriction here. You can do whatever you want as long as you kill 10 Robot Master and at least one of each game from Megaman 1 to Megaman 6. And for our sake as viewers and commentators, they're doing the games in order. So we started with Megaman 1, now we're all on Megaman 2, and Bubbleman dies for Sablier. Double Tifa starts Megaman. Staker is, wow, nice zip. Very fast setup actually to get into the wall. And Tarek starts Flashman. So try to keep track of the count of the how many they killed. But we should end Megaman 2 with 4 more bosses for all the runners.
Selrek is in Flashman. Very easy, simple, straightforward stage for the most part. You know, the turrets are making it look a little difficult, but Selric is making the stage seem easier than it is, because all of these shiny glass blocks have been scrubbed squeaky clean and are actually ridiculously slippery. You're basically on ice physics throughout this whole stage. Selric is taking the right path here, actually. His Taker is dead. He jumped into the spikes on the Bubbleman fight, so that is the thing that can happen. You know, if you're not taking too much damage throughout the stage, you can usually not have to worry about dying from damage. But those spikes are instant death. This is Mega Man, and so always a concern.
Yes, you want to jump a little bit, but never too high, and Bubbleman dies on Taker's screen on the second try. It's going to give some time to for the other three, especially Double Tifa. Double Tifa and Taker are probably the best runners on those two games we are doing today, and the second race is going to be on the Messenger, the 8-bit category. And obviously you want to be as fast as possible on both games, but it's going to be who scores the most points that's going to win. As Sarek kills Flashman, and Sarek is on his way for a PB. I hope they don't get stuck on Megaman 3 that got killed a lot of runs recently on those different tournaments we're having.
Sadly, also killed a little bit here by Quickman, a very difficult fight. You normally have the crash bombs, which will do a ton of damage that are not very easy to hit Quickman with. But if you do, the fight can just basically be over. With the Buster, you have to try to find a lot of these shots. And more importantly, when Quickman gets stuck in the corner like that and you shoot, your shots go over him. So you kind of got to go down and get him. And that's kind of the last thing you want to do. Very difficult fight, but second try, sadly, it gets through it.
Flashman for both Sablier and Devil Tifa, and Sarek sets up the zip. So when I was saying that they practiced the category, clearly they know what they're doing and they're just waiting for the run to happen. So I'm fairly sure they're going to get a sub 30 here, and that should but no, except if they die here, and it's after the checkpoint, but they're going to have to do all that part by walking instead of the zipping, which is going to be way slower.
Very easy Quickman fight for Taker. Very cool to see. Moving on, I think, to Megaman 3 as Devil Tifa into the Flashman fight. We'll see jumping repeatedly to get Flashman to jump. Once he's on top of you, things get pretty scary, but Devil Tifa manages to find the shots, even though the hitboxes are kind of overlapping. It can be difficult to hit Flashman when he's kind of right inside you. But he gets the shots as well. So we're getting a top man from both Devil Tifa and Taker. Taker's in there first, actually. I think that was maybe some faster menuing. But yeah, they're starting with top man. We might see another Mega Man 3 boss. Top man is where players start nowadays in Mega Man 3. But there are a couple of stages that have been the first stage throughout Mega Man. We might see some Magnet Man, which is one that was a sort of coined by Fast at CC, going Magnet first. And I don't think we'll see Gemini Man. It is maybe one of the longest stages in the entire category.
Yeah, it's very long, and it's useful when you get their weapon and you have to beat the boss anyway in your runs. But when you can choose and pick the fastest bosses, you're not doing those. But yeah, Magnet Man, Top Man, fastest bosses in Mega Man 3, and they're fairly doable. They're not insanely hard, but it's hard to come from Mega Man 2 and start Mega Man 3. The game lags a lot. You have to mash so fast to kill all those enemies. The end taker falls up the top here. It shifts you a bit left to right, and it's can really be tricky. So Devil Tifa takes the lead here.
Doing a pretty good job of mashing down these enemies. Mega Man 3 is pretty mash heavy. But no mashing involved to jump on these tops. You can kind of clip into them from below, and you can totally skip that last one. So very aggressive on the tops. It's what got Taker into trouble on this section. You can play it a little safer, but the players have reached the level where they're looking to save, you know, that extra second or two here and there, and so they're totally willing to go for it here on top. Man, Devil Tifa doing a really good job of getting as many hits per cycle as he can get, and that is going to end Top Man. Sablé and Selric also now in Top Man. Another Top Man fight for Taker.
So Top Man is as soon as you realize that they're spinning 5 times and then charges at you. It's pretty easy to figure out the fight. But Taker stays on Mega Man 3 as Devil Tifa starts Fireman here on Mega Man 4. So Taker is going to do Magnet Man. And maybe the round divergence is going to give Taker an edge here. We'll see how well it goes, because Devil Tifa is going to have to do one extra boss either on Mega Man 4, 5, or 6. I guess it's going to be Starman on Mega Man 5, but I'm not sure how big the time difference is between Magnet Man and Starman, actually. It's usually about like 10 seconds between levels, except for the very longer level on the Mega Man games, but we'll see.
We're getting a look at Magnet Man now here, mashing through a lot of enemies. Kind of the thing about Mega Man 3 is there is quite a bit of mashing involved. In the top right, sadly, just about to finish off Top Man. But we get into some Yoku blocks. We don't see too much of this in the other stages as Taker's about to drop down into this section here. Not too difficult, one of the easier ones, especially if you're smart about how you move, because there's this sort of magnet thing pulling you while you're trying to do this platforming, but you can, for the most part, avoid it by being clever about which blocks you jump on. So a little bit here to go for Taker. Selric also about to finish off Top Man and join Sablé and Double Tifa in Pharaoh Man. Double Tifa using the fact that it will slide you off the edge to the very edge of it. It always makes me nervous because if your right input comes out before your jump input, you're going to end up in the spikes. But a lot of players do use that for positioning, and it looks like Double Tifa's okay. Taker and Double Tifa dropping into their respective boss fights at exactly the same time. Taker has the option to take a hit to cancel Magnet Man's charge, and that is the fastest pattern, but you've only got so much health, so you don't want him to do it too much. Yeah, he is getting kind of a nice mix here, whereas Double Tifa is staying close to Pharaoh Man and jumping over the charge shot. Scary for Taker. Nice. Yes, he is okay. Double Tifa as well. So very, very close between the two.
So we're traveling in time. Taker is in 1991, as Double Tifa enters 1992 with Mega Man 5. Enters Starman here, while Taker goes into Pharaoh Man. So remember, those players only have to defeat 10 Robot Master on the full 46 Robot Master list they have. The only condition is at least one Robot Master per game, so they have to play all 6 different games, they have to adapt. And Mega Man 5 has a lot of different levels and very interesting level design with a lot of traps that are going to kill you in one hit, lots of spikes, lots of fall. Gravity Man that we're going to see right after that is very interesting, and those jumping blocks and platforming here on Starman can be deadly, so you have to pay close attention to what you're doing. So he enters the Pharaoh Man fight here. The trick for Pharaoh Man is to stay as close as you can to him. He's going only to jump, do the high jump, and not going to charge at you if you stay close. So very good pattern here, only doing the charge shots, and that's what you want.
Yeah, sadly it was kind of on a difficult part of the cycle where he was just barely charging up the Buster in time to release it and fire again. Ideally you want to be shooting, sort of first and then kind of charging after. I mean, I'm always shooting and then charging, but in terms of the timing of the jump afterwards, you wouldn't want to have to do a release one button, press the other. Having to do that like 8 times or however many shots Pharaoh Man needs made me a little nervous, but was able to adjust to that. Double Tifa onto the Starman fight, doing a lot of jumping to manipulate Starman to do as many high jumps as possible. It also tends to negotiate Starman to actually throwing his shield and being vulnerable. Otherwise, you're kind of just stuck waiting. So we'll see what kind of patterns we get. You also want to, like Pharaoh Man, stay closer to Starman. Nice job there from Double Tifa.
So someone in chat asked the $1 million question, what's the ideal route for that category? And to be fair, we don't know. We don't exactly know. It's there's like a theoretical best route, but the time would be about 17 minutes and 40 seconds, but it's just like compiling all the best time from all different best runners from the any percent and the buster only categories on all those 6 games. So it's very hard to imagine anyone going for that. So now in the UD, where you have to master many different games and categories and runs, everybody goes for what they think is best. So if you ask Taker, it would say that what he's doing right now is the best for them.
Mega Man 5 also had the powered up charge buster. Maybe not in terms of damage, but the hitbox actually. It's a much wider hitbox. Will take care of a lot more enemies. It will very often pierce through many things. Oh, Taker gets got by this horrible jump in Starman. It is possible to take a damage boost so that you don't have to worry about trying to do this jump, but it is quite a bit slower to try to set it up. So a lot of players have been going for it. He thought he had the iframes to jump off of them there after that mistake. So 2 deaths on the verge of a game over for Taker, and that is the biggest time loss for sure in any Mega Man game is eating the game over, losing your checkpoint. Here is the damage boost strat, and he's happily going to be through this section now. Hopefully they can hold on.
Yeah, dying is devastating. On Starman, the checkpoint is very, very early, and if you die at the end, right before the boss, you lose a lot of time. It feels like there is no like checkpoint in the level. Gravity Man is dead. Very, very nice. Going back and forth with the boss, they swap the gravity, and you try to hit them as you cross your paths across. Starman is one of the bosses I had the biggest trouble to figure out. It's hard to stay close to them, and it's yeah, sometimes he corners you and you die. But Sablier is doing his best here, dodging those attacks. Oh, sadly misses short shot, and Trey's hit here with Starman that still refused to die.
Yeah, you at one point you took a hit. Oh, that's it. If you're too far away, you can get a jump like that, and those jumps are incredibly hard to do. Oh, it's the game over too. Oh, that is bad. That's what happened to me in my PB. Actually, it was exactly Starman giving me the game over because I died on that stupid jump that Taker died at. We'll see if he can avoid this horrible, horrible fate. It looks like he is absolutely going to do that. You lose your charge shot if you get hit, your charge that you've been charging up. So, you release the button, all of a sudden you expect something to come out and nothing does. It can be really hard when you take an unexpected hit, and it can potentially lead to a mistake, a sort of follow-up mistake. It's not quite as bad as that phenomenon can be in Lawnmower. And this whole time, I can't believe I've not noticed that Celric has been doing Stone Man. This is a totally unique thing that I haven't seen anyone else doing.
It's the problem with that level is that it's safe, but it's super long. So Celric almost took like twice as long as Taker and Devil Tifa to beat a single level. And Stuntman is not too bad if you manage to dodge his jumps. But yeah, it's all about the sliding, and yeah, that boss has awesome patterns. But Devil Tifa is almost at the end of the category here. This is the 10th boss for them. Windman here, and we are at 20 minutes and 30 seconds, so it looks like a sub 21. Windman is not a difficult boss, and he'll die soon. Couple of hits will do, and here we go. Very, very nice run from Devil Tifa. Did not die. Was a bit slower overall on lots of strats compared to Taker, but Taker died a lot.
Is also on the verge of another death. This Stomper guy, you need to make sure that you don't stick too low on the ground right next to him, or he will stomp right down on top of you. Takes another hit from these little race car guys. I'm trying to remember where any health refills are, and I don't think there are, so going to be relying on the old classic of not getting hit or enemy drops. So yeah, this guy is the worst. He's the worst. Once he hits you once, his shots are perfectly timed to hit you again before you get to the ladder. So you have to do something. I'm not sure exactly what the best thing is to do in that situation. You can.
Oh, Taker!
Taker also dying again. He's down to his last health, yeah, we'll see how this goes. You can kind of leave that little airstream and like get back into it to kind of adjust your timing a little bit, but you're probably going to get hit doing that too. It is a really tough situation he was in.
Yeah, in those situations, I just try to kill the enemy, stay on the fan, and dodge the shots. But see, it's way easier said than done. And if you take any hit on the Megaman games, you're going to have a huge knockback, and it's not easy to recover if you need air. So Taker is doing his best to come back, but if they die here, it's game over, and they have to start the level all over again. And Devil Tifa is having a very, very strong lead here by over a minute.
Yeah, these are 4 players of I'm not sure how many, probably around 20. I would think this has kind of been where we've been at for these Ultimate Decathlon tournaments. yeah, we'll take a look at how Devil Tifa stacks up against everyone else who's been racing. I'm guessing, though, with a time like a sub 21, very likely we could see Devil Tifa on top, especially when all the other players we'd potentially see up there with Devil Tifa are currently on stream here and haven't finished yet. Have had a whole host of problems in a lot of different ways, but Taker's finally about to come out from the other side of these problems. He's in the Windman fight. He's doing a really good job of jumping over Windman's projectile. He actually gets really aggressive jumping up for gets it. So just under 23 minutes for Taker as we go over to Selrek in the Starman fight.
Very nice by Taker, but yeah, about 2 minutes behind Devil Tifa, and it's going to cost a lot overall. There are only 12 runners for today's tournament. It's probably because it's Tuesday and because those are the 2 longest games in the selection for EG7, so a lot of runners did not practice maybe enough the games yet, but it's Sablier has to be very careful here. Only like 3 tiny dots of HP, and Galaxy Man is not Gravity Man, my bad, is not an easy boss. I'm mixing my Robot Master, and it's not a good sign.
Yeah, he's not even in an NES game. He's in 9, which looks like an NES game, but is not even part of the potential boss here. So you're way off. But Selrek is on the mark with that charge shot. Just needs one more. There it is. Going to be done with that stage. Probably joining Sablier in Gravity, unless I've not kept track. And looks like maybe that is the case. Actually, Sablier is almost done with Gravity here as Selrek jumps into Megaman 6. And did he select Tomahawk Man? Interesting.
Wow. Selrek does have a very, very different route. Probably goes for his favorite and safest levels before he practices what's faster, I don't know, but whatever works, I guess, on such a category. Selrek has fantastic the messenger time, so he's probably going to rely on that to pass Devil Tifa, Taker, and maybe the other runners that are already done on Megaman.
Sablier into the Gravity fight. Gravity Man has a set pattern, so if you are, spend a little time practicing it, you know exactly what he's going to do, where he's going to be. It's not so easy to execute on that pattern. You need to be very careful about how you place your shots. There's really not a lot of time where you're in the middle of the screen and he's in the middle of the screen, so you need to hit those windows, and they change based on how far away you are from Gravity Man. You have to shoot sometimes even just before he's even switched gravity if you want to hit him from very, very far away. So that's kind of the big difficult part of that fight. Sablier did a pretty good job there of not missing any shots and making sure all his shots were indeed charged shots. He's moving on to Windman as the final stage, and I have no idea how to compare where these two players are right now. I haven't seen Tomahawk Man stage in a long time.
It's been, since I've either watched Mega Man 6 speedrun or played the game myself, and I have no clue how long that stage is, but I like the fact that runners are experimenting with the options here, because that's what the speedrun is about. Killing that Metool machine, though, it takes a lot of time, so Selrek finally gets it, but Sablier is almost done, but they fall to their death and have to start all over again because that was just before the checkpoint.
Oh, I thought that was the checkpoint. Oh man, I was about to say, but it's not too bad a death. No, it's one of the worst you can take in this stage, except for, the one that game overs you, I suppose. Selrek has also been low on health for a long time, has been, I think, adjusting to that and playing a little bit safe, jumping over that little skull guy before the boss door. So getting into the boss fight, Tomahawk Man basically does two things, I think. He throws the axe and he shoots the feathers. And then jumps, I think, actually, is the thing that you really are most worried about. So getting jumped, this is an intentional death here. Not going to try to do this fight with such low health.
Is there a single boss in Mega Man that doesn't jump?
Just jump on you, and it's like the most dangerous thing they do?
Yeah, I feel that they all do that. Windman does that. All the Mega Man 2 bosses try to jump at you somehow. Maybe Bubble Man, not exactly. Oh, Flashman actually doesn't jump on you. He just rushes at you and tries to kill you. So,
he's even worse.
Yeah,
he just goes exactly to where you're standing and then stays there.
Yeah,
it's the most troublesome AI in video games.
Top Man just rushes at you, indeed. Yeah, Okay, there's either the
There's a
rushing
lot.
mechanic or the jumping mechanic. Either they run at you or they jump on you. Like it's okay. Tamon Command it seems like to be a very difficult fight actually. Dodging those feathers is not as easy as it looks, and Sarek takes another death, and if they die again, they have to start the level all over again.
Sablier is also cannot get hit by anything this panda does. He does get through that time. Yeah, so the axe is... I don't think you can slide under the axe, but I guess it depends on the distance. You want to be far to dodge the axe, but the farther you are, the more the feathers spread out and they become harder to dodge. So there's a real trying to find the sweet spot so that you can deal with both attacks. Yeah, there's Selric sliding into the axe because he was kind of anticipating feathers. Very difficult, is currently winning the DPS race. Sablier gets clipped by Windman. How is he doing on lives?
Okay,
How is he?
okay.
All right, he's got one more. So with full health, Windman, it's going to be no problem. Selric also is very far along in the fight. Just needs one more hit. Gets it just under the 28-30 mark. And Sablier is going to be just a little bit over here. Assuming everything goes fine. We saw a lot of things go wrong for a lot of players in this race. But I don't think this is going to be one of them.
Yeah, Sablier just has to dodge those few jumps. And Windman is weird. You have to slide to get away from him when he's sucking air. I guess that's what he does. He's Windman. He's making wind. And sliding is the only way you dodge that attack. And you cannot shoot at the same time, so you have to accept that. So we're going to take a look here at the leaderboard. We have only 12 runners, and not all of them have finished, not at all. Metal got a 20-30 and Devil Defy 20-35, very close between those two. And Skunkoff is currently third, but I guess Taker did not register their time yet, so it's going to come as soon as possible. And more runners are not done yet.
They got a little bit more time to get their runs on the board before we move on to the Messenger. Not surprised to see Medalo up top. I did not realize he was one of the 12, but Medalo is a Megaman runner, outside of speedrunning for Ultime Decathlon, especially Megaman 2. They have an incredible time in Megaman 2, and it's one of the reasons why they do, I think, 5 levels from that game, including Airman. Going fast in Airman is always hard, even if you have the item 1 that you have in the normal route. But the safe strats in Airman involve having Flashman to pause the spikes that come out of the little guys. But the fastest thing to do is to not switch to Flashman and just do it's like 10 very precise jumps on the very edges of little spikes. So no one outside of Medalo, I think, is really thinking about Airman as a choice. But Medalo is just so practiced at it as a Mega Man 2 runner. He felt totally comfortable including it in his route. We got Sablier's time on the board. Taker still needs to post his, and then it's a little unclear if we're going to see finishes in time for Dovahkill, Cute Shadow, and Tilgar. So this is the oh, there we go. Taker's time is up there, currently in third, knocking Skunkoff down to fourth. We do give some stars away depending on your performance here.
Yeah, so if you end up on first place, you're going to have a gold star in your player card. Very important to pimp that card as best as you can. Second and third are going to get a silver star, and top 10 is going to get the third one, the bronze star. But it's going to be way easier. It feels like it's going to be easy, right? When there's only 12 runners to get on top 10. But against those guys, it's not going to be easy. Maybe a misstep here to only 29 seconds feels a bit fast, but Cute Shadow's time should be addressed pretty quickly. Cute Shadow's PB is 23:49 on the category. I'm surprised they got, I assume, a 29-minute, because they're a talented runner that practiced at least 4 games for UD7. They've been practicing UDs since UD2, so that's 4 years of learning about 60 different runs, and they know how to learn quickly. UD is a little bit somewhere between Mystery Tournament and Big 20. You know, you have a variety of different games, but you have time to practice them, and the list mixes like platformers, weird games like Lawnmower, first-person shooter. There's Neo Turf Master, which is a golf game on the UD7 list. So many different things. And next up about different things is the Mesasenger. So it is a platformer, but it doesn't feel at all like Megaman, right?
Yeah. You cannot double jump in Megaman, for example. And I guess you don't actually double jump in this game, but you can jump in the air plenty of times, like we just saw a little bit in the clip. There is something in common in that you don't lose time attacking while moving, so you can kind of just be walking and slashing or walking and shooting. But there's a lot of just moving around in the air that you don't really get in Mega Man. A lot of good use of vertical space, and maybe not as much of a focus on boss fights. Much more stages, a lot more vertical movement in stages, and the closest thing Mega Man has to a grappling hook, I know it's a rope dart, but is like the wire in Mega Man 4 or whatever, the like really dumb vertical thing that attaches upwards, and that's it. It is slow and never good, whereas it's pretty incredible here. So this is a really cool platformer that came out earlier? No, not this year, because we're now into 2019. We're like 2 months into 2019. I haven't caught up yet. We are last year. This came out and kind of took over the speedrun scene a little bit. You know, obviously an NES style platformer is going to capture the hearts of the speedrun community, and it did, and picked up a big speedrun scene. Took over Twitch for a little bit, and with good reason. It's a fantastic game, fantastic speedrun, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, everybody's playing in Japanese because it goes slightly faster on certain dialogues, but not by much. And so Devoltifact, Taker, Sablier, and Sarek are going to try to beat the 8-bit category as fast as possible. That's the first third of the game. We don't dive in the 16-bit part, and then the world expands in the game, and you can do many different things, but only the first very linear part, and it's a very addictive speedrun. I really enjoy learning and practicing and grinding that game personally. And here we go. We start with a gentle first minute. We're going to have a little bit of backstory, and then the actual running starts.
Yeah, the story actually gets like kind of complicated. I mean, it is complicated, but it doesn't treat it with the gravity of the kind of complicated story it is. It is a very lighthearted game with some really fun characters and writing. If you like self-referential style, you'll really like this. We're into the tutorial section where they're introducing the cloud step, which is a mechanic where if you slash something, you can jump again in midair. And so you can slash kind of at any point in your jumps, and you have a pretty nice hitbox on your attacks. So it's really not too hard to be able to hit something while you're jumping, and it enables you to, if you know what you're doing, you can almost fly in this game, really.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And we're getting a look at, this is kind of, when Zero comes in Mega Man X and saves you from Vile. That's kind of what we're getting here, before the game can kind of start in earnest here.
So about that double jumping mechanic, something that the players are all going to do all the time is slashing a lantern and then double jumping as they re-slash it. So they keep the double jump, kind of like the a super dash is in Celeste, when you dash and you jump, but you keep the dash, the ability to dash again after your first dash. So they're going to do that all the time, allowing them to get even more jumps all the time and go higher and faster. And they're going to skip a lot of different things. So we are entering the first level here, and you can see that there are time fragments, I think that is, that's money pretty much, and they're going to use that to buy upgrades at the shops that are also checkpoints. Many different things are used in that game, all mashed into one, but it's all about never stopping. You always move at the same speed from left to right, and you never want to let go of the left button.
Devil Diva hugging the right wall there to pick up some of those crystals as he drops down to the shop with all the other players, getting the, I forget what they call it, the thing that lets you stick to walls. And now you can just like wall jump like crazy. It's not so easy to get the rhythm that these players are using to jump on the wall, so they're making that look a little bit easier than it is. As they still do not have one of the best upgrades in the game. Actually, is the they just got that. You get the claw for free. You buy the ability to slash projectiles, which is huge for getting extra jumps in the air and also just not getting hit by things.
Important damage boost here. Devil Tifa doesn't get it, so has to wait. Sablier and Sarek both get it, so Taker and Devil Tifa are behind actually, but not by much. Slashing anything gives you a double jump, so projectiles, enemies, the chandeliers, you can slash. Even breaking walls give you a double jump, so they're going to try to hit like crazy pretty much everything. We have a little bit of swimming here, and this game is obviously inspired by Ninja Gaiden on the NES, and thankfully there is no water level and swimming involved in Ninja Gaiden games.
Yeah, it almost seems inspired by the dam level from Ninja Turtles. Just something about the way the character moves and swims. Not quite as many really tight squeezes that you need to do in this game as that game. All the players opting not to wait for that second buzzsaw, taking a damage boost, taking quite a lot of damage from the buzzsaw. You take 3 damage from spikes in this game, so it's not instant death, but they hurt a whole lot, and it can often be death, especially if you die previously. You only get 3 health when you die from a checkpoint, or when you respawn from a checkpoint, rather. So, that 3 health then puts you in instant death range to many spikes that are littered all throughout the game, so it does become a concern later on. I was very concerned for Sablier jumping into what appeared to be a pit, but it's just the bottom of the screen, a little bit cropped off, so keep that in mind as the players go, and they're still all incredibly close.
Yeah, is it just me, or those runners are so in sync? It's insanely close. Oh, Taker just barely gets the double jump here. Devil Tifa has to wait for a cycle and sings as soon as we point how sync the players were. Sarek falls a little bit behind, and Taker and Sablier takes the lead here. So Taker, shown here, uses a lot of double jumps. Wanted to slash that lantern in second time, but gets hit instead. And so as soon as you have the tiny clouds under your feet, it means that you can double jump, and they're going to use that quite a lot. So sometimes you wait for to use your double jump, or sometimes you wait to you double jump as fast as possible. It's all about optimizing your movement, obviously. And we're almost done with one of the longest level in the category. The first level here, one tiny trip to the shop to buy the shurikens, as well as the double jump after getting hit in the air upgrade. That's going to be very useful in the for the next level. So the route is all about going as few times as possible in the shop. So you try to buy everything in bulk, but that implies you got all the money you needed alongside the way. So you have to do that cleanly.
1 cycle kill for Taker using those newly bought shurikens here. Devil Tifa gets it as well. Sablier as well. Those leaves are very close to reforming, and then you lose quite a bit of time as the boss reforms. Perfect from all players. This was an achievement this week, actually. So if they hadn't got it already, which I'm sure they did, but we have now the video proof. We can go ahead and mark that on their appropriate spot on the little Google Doc where we just kind of keep track of these things. The achievements are very, very lighthearted. You don't require video evidence or anything like that, though certainly these players now all do as they head into the catacombs here.
So lots of spikes, lots of enemies, same new theme, new music, and Taker is going to face those the first time we see those, the crush blocks here. Obviously they're going to kill you in one hit. There are very few elements that kill you in one shot, and the checkpoints are pretty far apart, as you've noticed, and getting killed in one hit is devastating all the time. So you want to know your cycles, and everybody except Sarek waited for that first block here. The second part, after the water, you can skip past the first one, and you have to wait a little bit, and everybody gets that. Well, Taker gets that, and we'll see for Sarek, Devil Tifa, and Sablier. Sablier has a good start. I was a bit concerned due to last time we've seen them run the Messenger. They had quite some trouble to get into the game, but apparently today there's no problem whatsoever for them.
I love these, it's the projectiles that these orange guys spit out are very close to your movement speed. So very often, you end up skipping him or whatever because he's out of the way and you're doing a speed run. But whatever shot they shot is going to follow you forever. And sometimes it actually is a factor. You actually need to deal with it because it's going to hit you if you try to do your ideal route. Sometimes it doesn't matter. But it's still there. It's still something to think about and mentally process, and that can maybe make the difference in cutting a corner here or something like that. But for the most part, pretty inconsequential. Nice movement overall from all the players, heading into sort of the second half of the catacombs here. Taker just barely. Oh, does get hit there.
They wanted to go past the platform by crouching and jumping, but did not register for some reason. And Sablier died. You can see on the on their screen the tiny red demon that follows them. It's a pretty annoying thing in the game, and you never want to see it appear in any speedrun because first it means you died and you lost a bunch of time. But for the first time you encounter them, there's a dialogue you want to skip because it takes a lot of time. So it's double pain for any mistake, and sadly Sablier has to deal with that. Very good movement from Devil Tifa that doesn't get the damage boost here. You want to do a tiny jump, but at the end of the platform they jumped a little bit early and got the boosted in the wrong direction. So Taker is still in the lead, but Sarek just passed Devil Tifa. It's very close between the two. Actually, Devil Tifa is in first place, and the next few rooms are very important. There is a major cycle skip on the upcoming room on Taker's screen on the top left here, and yeah, Taker is not going for it. It's very risky. We'll see how it goes for both Devil Tifa and Sarek. Sarek has a nice jump, they should make it, and Devil Tifa goes for it, and no problem whatsoever. So they almost caught up with Taker in one single strat here.
Yeah, that is really cool. This is now very close. Taker just passing by the checkpoint before the boss. We'll see what kind of pattern everyone gets here. There you can lose, I think you said it was about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Depending on the opening pattern they get here.
So bottom path here for all three players, so no good luck for any of them. So the boss is going to do the ground attack from left and right here, and then goes up there, and that's what you want because the attack is so long. You're not supposed to be able to go up there, but with the upgrade they bought right before the first boss, they're able to take a hit, get a double jump, slash those green fireball, and then double jump on the boss and deal a bunch of hit that completely kills them. So it was slow for all of them. They're all blaming the RNG, but little they know it was the case for everyone involved here. Taker gets to the Bamboo's Creek first, so it's a very nice area. It's the holiday area with no boss, and it's super tight movement-wise and execution-wise. It's there's for the first time those doors here. You have to hit the switches, so they're using a lot of the shurikens, but the shurikens are limited in resources. So you are in number. You have the these 3 squares on the top side of the screen, so you have to use that. Lots of damage boosting, and they're going to be using all the resources they have to move as fast as possible.
Taker is moving really well through this entire section. Is followed pretty close behind by Devil Tifa and Salrek. Sablier has been struggling a little bit, does get past the Crusher in that difficult section, waiting and taking that one safe. Speaking of, you said there isn't much that'll kill you instantly. It turns out doors will kill you instantly if you let them close on you, so pretty sure that's not going to be a problem. Going over the top of the sort of geometry on the screen there is not considered an out of bounds. This is the no out of bounds category, so if it was, they wouldn't be doing it because it drastically changes the run. Sablier is, let's see if they're able to get up to the top. Yes, there we go. That is pretty important. We'll see if this is enough to finish off the boss here. I'm not sure.
So Taker gets a very, very difficult skip on the Bamboo Creek and Devil Defense Sarek both have to use the elevator here, giving Taker a nice edge. Sablier has a very, very cool strat to go up there using those fireballs, and finally gets the kill.
Yeah, you have to be pretty careful with your health doing that. You are likely only going to get hit once. If you get hit twice, you can only do that strat, a certain number of times. So nice recovery, I guess, from Sablier as we watch Taker here, who is in the lead by a little bit, dropping into this. Well, he's not actually going to touch the water. He's going to hit all the way to the edge, but basically moving on to the next section pretty shortly here. We've got this. It is. No, wait, is the mushroom with the boss, right? Yeah, this is no boss. Moving on to the gloom. What is it called? I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, Stormwind Grotto. It's the Grotto of Wind
right.
Something. I play in French, sadly.
Close enough.
So it's not exactly the same. So they all got a close look at their money because you need 275. Sarek has 278 entering here. Devil Tifa has a lot, 292, and Taker has only an extra 10. You buy 2 upgrades. One is totally useless and one is very important. It's the diving attack. So you got the suit that allows you to float to hover a little bit, and they're going to use that a lot. And they also can attack meanwhile, so it allows you to get back your double jump, and the movement gets crazy at that point.
Slashing through these stalactites on the ceiling. It's your attack hitbox will hit pretty far out to the sides, and they can now hit below them with the wingsuit attack that they have, that sort of upwards, downwards spinning thing that they do. But that attack only really hits downwards. It looks like it should be hitting quite a bit above your hitbox, but not really. But it will actually hit forwards quite a bit as well, so kind of a misleading hitbox on it. But it's very hard to slash things that are above you without getting hit, so very careful timing. Anytime you are sort of ascending upwards into something, and it's kind of key to getting through any vertical section very quickly, is chaining together your cloud steps, hitting multiple things. So very difficult maneuver there. That's well, it's not too hard there, but it sort of highlights a difficult maneuver that is a big part of running this game. So far, Taker still in the lead. Devil Tifa very close behind. Selrek just behind them as well. No, wait, I got it backwards. It is Selrek ahead of Devil Tifa, and then Sablier is still a little bit further behind them.
Sablier died 2 times, I think, and it feels like they're hours behind. Dying takes a lot of time, and Sablier lost a lot of money, but they're back. Their economy is back there, so they should be okay. But everybody else is almost done with the next world, actually. Taker in the lead by a couple of rooms, and just by 1 room, actually, and they're entering the boss fight here. So the boss fight is that huge, scary golem we're going to see. You have to hit the core 8 times, and then you go the head collapse and you hit the head. It's about like 30 times you have to hit it, so you have to mash at it pretty deeply, intensely, and the strat is to hit the core 7 times, and then one shuriken allows you to go as fast as possible on top of there and deal as many hits as you can, allowing you to get only 2 cycles, which is pretty cool. So Taker is going to do that without any issue, and it's also, weirdly enough, the fastest strat to beat that boss, but also the safest strat, because you have to deal way less with attacks that could damage you, so very, very well done. The second phase here is pretty difficult to do optimally because the head flies, and very, very cool. Taker shows that it's not a problem when you have practiced the fight just a tiny bit.
Double Tifa's in a bit of trouble here. He's down to 1 health and is kind of waiting to throw the shuriken there because he wants to get as many hits as he can on the second phase. Throwing the shuriken as he approaches the boss. He's kind of all in here. We'll see if he can get it done. Yeah, it looks like he did.
The 2 cycles.
I guess the second phase is a little scary now, though.
Yeah, with only 1 HP, you don't want to rush at the boss like Taker did, and they're going to take it slow, apparently. Go collect the gems so they can throw shurikens, and here we go. Very nice. Not dying was key here, because doing the fight all over again takes about a minute, so Devil Tifa is going to let Taker and Salrek take the lead by about 30 seconds, I'd say, and entering the Quillshroom area here, marsh, I think. And it highlights all the movement possibilities you have now with your wingsuit.
I love bouncing off of all these various projectiles. The inputs for the wingsuit is holding down the jump button, and you can kind of release it and repress it to kind of feather it a little bit. You get a fun little backflip animation each time you do it. But it can be pretty tricky if you want to do that sort of spinning attack that hits downwards. Very often, there's something below you that you want to hit, and you have to sort of hold jump, but like just for long enough in order for your attack to be considered the wingsuit attack rather than the regular attack. So there's a lot of finesse into sort of getting into and out of the wingsuit state, and Taker looks like he's doing a pretty good job. He took a number of hits here. He's down to 2 health. Some intentional. I think one of them was not. Down to 1 hit left.
Oh, he doesn't take the refill. There's one just here. Wow, this is actually scary now. 1 HP, and yeah, there is going to drop here at the checkpoint. It's not mandatory, it takes an extra second, but each time you pass a checkpoint you go back to 3 HP if you have less than that. So at least they're going to be a bit safer, but on that world I never want to lose any HP. Everything can kill you so quickly, you can take so many different hits, and you want to take a lot of hits to save time as well. So it's a scary level.
Sadly, moving on to the second phase, gets hit here, so it bounces away quite a bit. We'll see if you can how he works in the shurikens. He's getting really aggressive, but with picking up a ton of shurikens, he would have been able to find that last hit, even if that one didn't quite land. It does. He is done. We get another look at this very sad little elemental creature that worked so hard to build up that gigantic golem to dig down here. And is going to have to wait kind of a long time before they can get back to work. So it's not happy about it. Even if he lost all his big golem parts, he at least had a friend for a little bit, but not anymore. We're gone. We're moving on. Taker has moved on. The furthest of the bunch so far has been kind of consistently ahead.
No,
but is maybe going to drop back here. He
trying
does
to abuse the hitbox, and it's like meters away from the checkpoint. That's such a big death here. Wow. So if you're slashing and jumping at the same time, you are covered with hitbox of hitting. Usually you cannot get hit there, but it was just the timing, like down to the second was wrong for them, and they lost so much time. Devil Tifa actually caught up with them now.
Meanwhile, Cellric is actually already in the boss fight. We'll see how well they're able to keep this boss from getting up onto the rings on the top level. Looks like the boss is already low health, so we were getting those whip attacks. The shuriken to finish it off, standing next to the door. A very calculated move here. As a mysterious little guy shows up. Cellric has no idea who that is, because he is not one of the players who has died so far. Boss fight now for Devil Tifa and Taker.
Oh, nice. Devil Tifa gets the fast cycle here. Looks like Taker is also doing great, and they're both going to finish the fight with one final shuriken hit, I guess. Yeah, they all know how the fight works. Devil Tifa doing great here, and goes to the door. One shuriken. Here we go. 2 shurikens actually, just to be sure.
Just to be sure, Cellric is the first person to purchase the rope dart, which is a little grappling hook thing you throw out, pulls you to walls. Doesn't reach too far to the side, so you can't get absolutely insane with it. But the biggest thing is if it latches onto something, it will usually fling you past it. I mean, if it's an enemy, you'll usually slash at it, and then you won't get your sword. But if it's one of these rings on the walls, you will go absolutely flying. So it is a very fast method of movement. Especially so if you get the ring, but basically latching onto anything is going to be faster than not. So constantly reaching out is Cellric, trying to find something to grasp on this thing, always trying to go a little bit faster. Nice little cloud step shortcut there.
Yeah, all the rooms are connected together, so if there's a hole that connects to another room, you can like choose your way pretty much, and many ways to skip and to move vertically as fast as possible. You want to use your grappling hook as always, as frequently as you can. Oh no, Cellric does not get the double jump they wanted, and once again they're going to lose a lot of time to the trick they wanted to. That saves about like 1 second, I guess, and they lost 5 trying to go for it. Sadly, that's the entire story of that game. Is it a grappling hook? I was thinking a grappling hook usually like swings you back and forth, right? This is
it
just
depends. Like it's more of a hook shot. You're right.
Yeah.
But I think under the umbrella of grappling hooks, you have the rope dart and the hook shot and the fishing rod from Umihara Kawase and all kinds of other metal things attached to stringy things. But I think it's fair to call them all grappling hooks. I think it's a square or rectangle situation.
Oh yeah, I think. It's way easier to use than Umihara Kawase.
Yes, it is.
This is just one button, flings you forward. If there is anything in front of you, if you are out of reach though, the cooldown is pretty long, so you have to know exactly when and how to use it. Yes, going back and forth with hitting and grappling deals a ton of damage and gives you ton of iframes, so it's the best way to deal with that boss. So Call and Osses are the 2 colosses here. One is only vulnerable from the back, and one is only vulnerable from the front. So you have to know how to deal with them, and as soon as you deal enough damage, they miss their swapping animation and they die.
Yeah, that's what happens. When you go for like a high five and you kind of miss a little bit and you feel bad. This is the worst case scenario. When that happens, you go for the high five, it's a total failure, and you both die. So it's tragic, but that's just the way it goes. It's really hard to land those high fives after you've been in this fight. You've been beat up so badly. Taker and Devil Tifa doing a really good job in this fight, whereas Cellric, already did a great job and is moving on to the glacial peak, which is it's where there's kind of a big increase in difficulty. I think you're moving a lot more vertically, and there's a lot less things to stand on. So you do get plenty of use out of your rope darts, out of your wingsuit attacks, your cloud steps, and they chain together beautifully. But you can die very easily all over the place.
Yeah, it's pits weren't enough, so there are plenty of enemies and spikes all over the place. You want to get as many double jumps as you can, and as soon as anything goes wrong, you have to know how to recover. So Sarek having a little bit of issues here and there, but overall very tight movement. And yeah, someone pointed out in chat that those guys are very good already at the Messenger, and do remember that UD only started 4 weeks ago. Wow, that's crazy said like that. Taker learned all 10 games at a very high skill level in only 4 weeks, and now on the Messenger they're competing at very high level, dying a little bit for some of them, but Sarek moves as fast as possible in the Glacial Peak. We do see that strange boss here a couple of times in the run, but you just have to ignore it. If you want to know who that is, just play the game, I guess.
Sablé is playing the game right now, taking out the the Colossuses. A pretty early switch there from red to green. Getting these attacks in the front, getting one of the harder attacks to dodge it. Well, pretty easy when you're just doing your rope dart spam with the leg. And then, of course, they team up as well, so you can actually follow him up to the top of the screen to land a couple extra hits. Nice.
That was very well executed. It's actually one of the hardest things to do on that boss fight. Some of the patterns allow you to hit both Colossus at the same time when they do like combined attack, and that's what you want. But sometimes you do have bad patterns. But Sablé deals with that very nicely, and Taker misses a jump here. Takes the long way around not to have to deal with the skip they forgot apparently. But Sarek is the first here to get to the final world, the Tower of Time, and this is like the final challenge to prove that you are worthy of carrying the message. I don't remember exactly the story at that point, but it's a brawl and with lasers and spikes and the worst enemies in the game being the random mages that shoot at you. But let's see how it goes for Sarek here.
Yeah, easily the hardest part of the game. The lasers do 4 damage, I think. They hurt a lot. So most of the time they are an instant death, and damage boosting is not really an option. So you do end up kind of waiting for all of these cycles, and it means that each room is pretty long. So if you do end up dying, chances are you're going to have to wait again. So you can lose a lot of time for very small mistakes all throughout the tower. We'll see how it goes for Selric, about to be joined here by both Taker and Devil Tifa.
So you have those crystals all over the place here. The pink crystal do trigger doors, and you have to go as fast as you can because the tiny sparkle is moving, and as soon as it reaches its goal, the laser comes back up, and the blue crystal teleports you from one to another. So as soon as you hit them, so you have to be careful with those, not to hit them twice, or you will go back to your original point. So you have to to pace yourself, not to be too hasty. Mashing button doesn't help in the Messenger. Wow, Sarek has to wait, and it's not going to make it in time, so has to go back. Well, good reaction here. On this specific world, the shurikens, you cannot get them back, so you have 3 of them, and the runners use those three shots at very specific times.
You just use there for Selric, riding down with the platform here. His face is right into those spikes. Like, not even arguable that he is absolutely cutting his face up on the way down. But it does move at exactly the same speed, so maybe it's just gently resting against his cheek. He took a damage boost through the laser and is now at 1 health, but 1 health is not any different than 4 health, really, in this situation with all these spikes everywhere. And nothing but maybe one of those little mages later on. Does get the health refill, and is pretty far along in the tower here. There's not too much left.
There's an interesting glitch here. When going from the blue crystal, if you immediately jump, sometimes you will have the cloud on your feet, like when you have a double jump ready, but doesn't really have it. Devil Defat does the exact same thing as Sarek and Taker throughout those rooms. Let's see if Taker goes for the damage boost. Doesn't look like he has enough HP, so has to wait. Devil Defat is full HP, so maybe. And I finally got the name of the player here, the MSN Messenger, obviously. Oh, and dies! Wow.
Oh.
Goes for the full damage boost from like the very bottom laser beam. And as his first death, loses so much time.
That's what you get for invoking the dark name of MSN Messenger.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, and dies again. Whoa, don't say it! We said it was cursed.
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. Oh, man. We're about to become a who's on first routine here if we keep it up. Selrek is on the final, very drastic section here. The laser's just waiting to creep up and blast you, but the platforms do enable him to get up to the top. One final ride before heading to the final boss of the goal here. It's only really the halfway point of the game, but... It's, you know, you have to learn 10 games in the UD, so length is important. And the Messenger, this goal is already the longest game in the category. So to go ahead and double that doesn't quite fit the format here. So this is for us the final boss, this really scary arcane golem thing, and we're going to be able to use our rope darts and our slashes to stay up here with the boss. The iframes certainly helping get through the ring of projectiles that are constantly there. And the poor boss would love to do a number of scary attacks to a target on the ground, but because you're in the air, he just keeps trying to clap you away. And through use of the rope dart and the wingsuit here, that never happens. So Selrek doesn't touch the ground. Perfect, pretty much fight there, and great finish.
I love that boss fight. The sprite is awesome, and the fact that it claps so you to get him out of his way is pretty funny to me. But staying up there with the grappling hook is way harder than it looks. Looks like you only need to mash and you'll make it, but actually you have to get the good rhythm. And there's maybe there are some different strats to do that. Let's see if Taker goes with the same rope dart technique, and apparently is going to do the exact same thing actually. So we should have the same fight. You want to use the no, you don't have you can't fall here. You're going to lose way too much time. But has the good attack here and can go back up immediately.
Boss must be about 2/3 dead or so at this point. We'll see if Taker can finish strong here. Actually got kind of like inside the boss's hitbox there. Which can be a little scary. You know, you kind of get out of the rhythm and need to kind of fall back into it, which Taker does exactly, finishing in second of our players on stream. Just a little over 35 minutes, I believe. Sablé is into the tower and is pretty far along as well, but is going to have a lot of trouble catching Devil Tifa, who is already into the boss fight, so we'll see how this goes.
So Devil Tifa uses his shurikens and does the exact same thing. So apparently it is the correct way to go for all those runners. You have to be careful not to get hit, and you have to stay up there, so anything will throw you off, and if you do fall, you cannot get back up until the hand of the bosses allows you to. So sometimes you can lose a lot of time just through one tiny mistake. Devil Tifa makes no mistake though, and beats the category in under 36 minutes.
Sablé on this this is a very long and kind of weirdly tense room. The window for coming out of the crystal and slashing the next one is not too big. He's going to go for this glitch here, and he does manage to hit the crystal on the other side of the wall and skip one cycle. If you miss, you're probably going to hit a crystal that you don't want to and go backwards. So it's a little bit risky, and it's nice to see Sablé, you know, going for something like that after having some troubles earlier on, and even better to see them hit it.
Once you know the inputs, it's not too hard, but it's one of those skips in speedrun where if it's not too hard, but if you miss it, you lose so much time at one in bulk that you probably, if you're not 100% confident, you do not want to go for. But yeah, Sablier shows that they've practiced and know the game very, very well. Get to the boss. We are at 37 minutes here. And let's see. Oh, whoa, I thought they were going to immediately fall. Yeah, you need to get your rhythm in. If you take too many hits, you may die. So if you take too long to get into your groove, it's very, very risky. Only 1 HP. Sablier gets me on the edge of my seat here.
Yeah, you're doing the good strategy of kind of staying in the middle, rope darting left and right, looks more impressive, I think. Something about staying in the middle of all those rotating projectiles, even if you're not really like avoiding them, you're using the iframes, but just very cool looking finish there with the 1 HP as well, just for extra style points. Nice job from Sablier. We'll take a look at these times as they come in. Currently, Skunkoff on top as the only player to submit a time. But what a good time that is, actually. Skunkoff, is a little bit behind the top Mega Man finishers, but still has a very good time, a 200-point time. So we'll see how they stack up against our 4 players that we had on stream and our other 6 who are competing in the tournament today. 7, actually. I'm not sure if Dovahkiel's going to get a time in, though. I think it's the second time I've seen that name without a time posted.
I hope they'll get it. Skunkoff is only 7 seconds away from his PB, which is insane. Some players are so consistent. It's amazing. Taker, let me get his PB up. I don't know yet all the PBs for all those players. Taker's PB is 34-12, so once again very, very close. And Devil Tifa with a very good Mega Man stays up there at 418 total point, 2 points away from Skunkoff. Taker is not too far away, and the second race on Mega Man is going to be the great decider between those 3, because any mistake will cost a lot. And Skunkoff, I don't remember their Mega Man run. Where did they lose time?
We don't know because we weren't watching their runs.
Oh, we don't watch their. Yeah, that's true. My bad. It starts with the S. I was confused.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Skunkoff was on stream quite a bit last season. I think is part of where this has come up. Skunkoff made it into the final rounds of the qualifiers. In I think each tournament, maybe all of them, until he finally qualified. He is getting into top 8s last season obviously speaks to his ability, and we're seeing that reflected also in his scores here today. Even though he's not featured on stream, he's challenging everyone basically. Devil Tifa, Taker, Celric, Sablier, right in there with the bunch. As we head into one more round of Mega Man before we close out our Tuesday tournament.
Yeah, third and last race for tonight. Those are longer games for UG7, and we cannot squeeze so many of them in just an evening here. And we have to stay on schedule because speed gaming is never stopping, obviously. There's something happening in just half an hour, so all those players will have to go as fast as possible, but isn't it the point anyway? So I wonder if Sarek is going for the same route. It feels like it's going to be the correct idea. You don't want to switch things up to like during a tournament like that. Doesn't feel right, but Sablier is going to have a lot of trouble beating them to the 4th place, and it feels like Devil Tifa, Skunkoff, and Taker are on a fortress that's not going to fall, and the gold and silver stars are going to stay among those 3 players.
Yeah, yeah, but it's really not clear who among them is going to be the one with that gold star. Devil Tifa has 2. I think Taker only has some the silvers. So will Devil Tifa hoard all of them, or is Skunkoff or Taker going to be able to take one away? We've got 1 game left. only 6 people finishing Messenger so far. Metalow's kind of a Mega Man expert, so I wonder if they're joining today just for the Mega Man, or if we're going to see a time come in pretty late for Messenger. Again, players are joining for all kinds of reasons in both the season and the tournament. So I've found that I've found a calling in Neo Turf Masters and Lawnmower as sort of my raison d'etre, and I guess that's in a mostly French-speaking community. Maybe I should be a little careful with my turns of phrase. I don't know if that sounded really weird to your ears, but it's a thing. We say that here in our English-speaking communities. But yeah, that's when I'm, any tournament with those, I'm wishing I was down there instead of up here a little bit. I definitely really like being up here. But players have all of their little preferences. Some people really like to be competitive and try to do all 10 games and be the best they can. I think, that's Taker, that's Devil Tifa, that's Skunk Off. But some people are like, I just really like Mega Man. I just like the Messenger. I just want to grind and I don't even want to race. So, it's interesting and awesome that all these people can kind of come together around this banner that is the Ultimate Decathlon.
Yeah. You said Lawnmower, and I got like chills. It's that game. It's so scary. It's it's a ghost. It's something you don't want to think about, but it's there. It's on my mind all day, every day. I got a PB just before the stream, actually, 8:47, and I died so many times. I don't even know how to play Lawnmower, but. Yeah, on different other reasons to play to join the UD, there's Minute and Trackmania 2 and Neo Turf Master, and those are the 3 games we are going to play tomorrow evening in a weird single elimination format where we are going to play segments of the game and only the fastest, and those segments are going to be allowed to continue on their runs. It's going to be pretty fun. So on Trackmania, we're going to do by a burst of 5 tracks. On Neo Turf Master is going to be by 6 holes. And Minute, the rules is a little bit different. Only if you do beat the game in under 9 minutes, you'll be able to move forward. And the second turn is going to be the condition is beat the game in under 8 minutes. And if anyone gets there, we're going to have a third turn. So it's going to be pretty fun, and we'll see how it goes. So it's going to be on stream tomorrow. Only 40 seconds before we start Megaman, and I wonder if Medalo, Jikin, Tilgar are going to be able to beat the game on time, but. Medalo doesn't have a Messenger PB, actually. Jikin either, and Tilgar either. So I don't think the players are actually running and hoping to beat the game in under 45 minutes.
The other 2 runners that we haven't talked too much about, who are actually very close with Sablier, Cute Shadow and Soggy. Well, that's not true. We talked about Cute Shadow, but we've also got Soggy Toast. Is a very strong runner. I think was the second runner to get a 2,000 point total, up there with Taker and Nanmokuro. Only those 3 players have that distinguishment. So Sagitoost not quite performing up to their grind time today on the leaderboard, but they're getting that race experience that's only going to make them better.
Yes, you have to practice, you have to play, you have to fail, and it's going to, the practice and the grind will finally make it so you're consistent. And I'm personally very bad at racing alive. I have that weird anxiety building up, and I'm super stressed out, and I never feel like I'm doing great. So I totally understand someone feeling like they're practicing for nothing, and it's just not worth grinding. But It's I know a lot of the good and consistent runners in the UD were on that spot a couple of years ago and did so many races that it feels like it's actually just the normal condition of speedrunning at that point. But we've seen all 46 Robot Master here on that tiny clip, and we're probably going to see about 13 or 15 or 16 on those 4 different screens. Taker does Magnet Man, and Sarek does Tomahawk Man and
Stone Man.
Stone Man, yeah. And is there any other difference? I don't remember. So we're going to see a bunch, and it's going to be pretty fun. And let's see who's the fastest. Devil Tifa, can they have the same insane sub 21 minute time a second time in a row? We'll see, actually.
If anyone could, it would be Devil Tifa. The player's getting a jump on our little countdown clock here, but that's fine. We're just syncing the clock up to the game actually loading the stage is all that was. The players are starting with Mega Man 1. They will be playing the games in order. So if you were to move on to Mega Man 3 and then realize, I forgot to kill Flashman, you would be stuck and have to improvise fighting a later boss. That's just... well, I guess part of this is just trying to keep the players on track and make it easier who is where. But I'm sure the players probably would have preferred to like tackle the more RNG heavy stages first, like maybe something like Magnet Man or what are some real RNG bosses?
I think some players would go, if you could grind the boss in any order, a lot of players would grind with Needle Man.
Oh
first.
yeah.
And since you have to do those in order, going like 12 minutes into the run in a very RNG and difficult boss fight to save like 5 seconds probably doesn't feel like it's worth your effort. So everybody is going for Gutsman anyway first. Once again, if you want to go ahead and do Iceman, I want to see it. I want to see one day in my life someone beat Iceman Buster only. And Sarah dies here. Wow. Oh, it's right after the checkpoint. I didn't even know there was a checkpoint here. Usually people die on the green platforms in Gutsman.
Yeah, or the boss, and then you've got your boss corridor spawn. Right? That's a thing, right? I'm questioning myself now. Anyway, the boss is down for Taker and Devil Tifa. Sadly, just about to start. Cellrec, of course, a little bit behind here. After that death, we'll see the select button being used here. The select button is extra powerful if you have some other weapon from this game that will stay active even after it hits a boss. So the select basically is pausing the game and then releasing select, unpausing the game, refreshes collision between projectiles and bosses. So you're kind of waiting out the invincibility frames of the boss while the game is paused. And if you've got a projectile just on top of the boss, you can just very quickly release and repress select to refresh the collision, get the hit, and keep your projectile basically exactly where it is on top of the boss. So you can just like feather it to very quickly kill bosses. With the Buster though, the projectile goes away as soon as it takes you deal damage, so it's not quite as powerful, but you can fire 3 shots, for example, and use select to have all 3 hit relatively quickly. So not so easy to do, especially not getting stunned by Gutsman, so all the players did a good job there. Moving on to Mega Man 2, back to Flashman is the shortest stage, so we are going to see our first boss fight, or second boss fight rather, from all the players. And Taker's going to be the one up first. We'll see how this goes.
Flashman, oh wow, almost got a very, very fast kill here. Took a hit and had to turn around, so I lost a little bit of time here, but Middleman starts for Taker as Devil Tifa enters the boss fight. Devil Tifa took a very slow fight earlier. I wonder if it's actually maybe the fastest way to deal with the boss, to stay on the left side. I've seen a lot of runners actually stay closer to the boss, so they can assure that the hits come faster, but Devil Tifa finally gets the kill and is good time away from Sarek and Sablier following them here. Taker is entering the stage, and Sarek actually takes the... Wow, can you make that jump? No, you cannot, right?
No, you would need an item to get across, and you certainly don't have any of those. So, sacrificing an extra life for the E-Tank just speaks to a lack of confidence in the middleman fight, basically. E-Tanks are really, really good for boss fights. You can only go in with maximum health, and for some bosses, it's not so easy to win that fight, even with full health. So the E-Tank will help you get through the situation where multiple attempts with extra lives don't. So trading one resource for another at the cost of kind of a lot of time is Selric, but is absolutely going to be able to beat Metal Man now.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Just with the E-Tank and being played on normal mode should do the trick. Taker in the boss fight as well, but he's one entire stage ahead of Sarek. The Ultima entered Quickman, and Sablier is in a Bubble Man here. The most intense benchmark of encoding is that waterfall, and Sablier triggers the zip here. Very, very slowly inching towards the left side, and is going to scroll the screen as they're inside the wall, allowing them to press left and zip to the right.
Yeah, and most zips in Mega Man 2 are triggered either with the A button or the B button. After facing left, there is, you hit one of those to kind of initiate it. And I'm actually not sure which input it is on this zip, because it's the only time you're ever to effectively just fall into the wall as opposed to slowly rising up into it. So pretty unique situation. Taker is getting this now too. I guess you would fire a shot if it was a B button. So it's A or nothing to do this particular zip. I'm curious. I've never learned how to do it this way, so that's something I need to add to my repertoire. Sadly, heading into the boss corridor here for Bubble Man now.
Bubble Man is not too bad, but you have to remember not to jump too high, because if so, you will bonk your fragile head on the spikes and explode. So you stay close to the boss, try to make the screen as little lag as possible, and here we go. So he kills Bubble Man and moves on to Quickman. Devil Tifa in the middle of the Bubble Man stage, and Taker enters the fight here. Usually, if you do the any person category, you would have Metal Man blades at that point, and they're very convenient to kill anything in Mega Man 2. But Bubble Man is not too hard, so Taker enters Quickman here. Sablier is at the start of the stage, and Devil Tifa moves quickly through those levels.
Yeah, that's what he does, that Devil Tifa. Selrek is into the Quickman beam section here. One of the most fantastic sounds in video games, I think. Genuinely terrifying. It's not many sounds can strike fear into your heart without just being some kind of like loud jump scare sound. Maybe Sinistar's crazy. Anyway, Devil Tifa gets Bubble Man down. Is got one more boss left in Mega Man 2, heading to Flashman. Selrek doing a nice job of keeping a projectile fired from the previous Joe. Something Joe. He's not a Hammer Joe. He's a Gunner Joe. Anyway, he shot a thing. Getting hit by that for iframes instead of touching the gigantic mech thing here is a nice little strat. Sablier is going to wait to get shot instead. Nice. Sniper Joe, of course. And Quickman fight for Selrek. Any Quickman fight you can walk away from is Quickman fight you're happy with.
Yeah, it is not an easy fight, and the Buster hitbox is so tiny on Mega Man 2 and 1 as well, and that it flies above the boss head, so you have to be on the same ground, same level as them, and sometimes it's tricky to maneuver. Quickman has two opening patterns. Sometimes he jumps high, sometimes he jumps slow, and you with the crash bombs you want Quickman to jump as high as possible, so you can get the quickest kill. But with the Buster only, you actually want the low jump, so you go faster. Taker will move on to Mega Man 3 first here. They moved quickly through all those levels, and they're about like 10-12 seconds ahead. Top Man stalls, and Top Man once again killed Taker on the previous run of Megaman tonight, so they are going to be extra careful on those tops at the end, I guess.
We had Flashman kill for Devil Tifa, joining Taker in Top Man, Selric on the top part of the level here. If you're worried about being safe, you can go all the way across, pick up an E-Tank, double back, and then go on to the boss fight. And, after the length Selric went to for the E-Tank and Metal Man stage, I wouldn't have been terribly surprised to see Selric go for it, especially missing some health going into the boss fight. But he has passed it up, so he's going to have to do a pretty good job on this fight. You can get plenty of opportunities at the start of the fight to deal damage, but if you miss those opportunities, it gets kind of crazy pretty fast here. So scrambling a little bit, does get frozen, and does find the final shot. All right, so going to be moving on to... no, it needs one more stage in Mega Man 2, actually. I think it's Bubble Man. So one more stage for Selric. Sadly, however, this is their final boss done. And moving on to Mega Man 3, where Devil Tifa and Taker have been for a little bit. Devil Tifa is struggling a little bit with... not struggling. That's not the right word. But everyone struggles to fight the cat just because it's so hard. But doing a good job on the actual execution of it. And Taker is a little hesitant on this top section this time.
They waited for the entire first cycles, to be sure, and then did those little hops so they're not shifted back and forth on the platforms, just to be sure. And took all the platforms safely and made it to the boss. The boss is... You count to 5, and as soon as it did 5 turns, it rushes at you, and if you know that, it's pretty easy to get the maximum damage. If you mash fast enough. Mashing on Mega Man 3 is an entire art by itself. It's very difficult. Devil Tifa is going to deal as many damage as it can, be in between attacks. Obviously, Top Man is not going to get hit when he's spinning, but he dies, and Devil Tifa swaps directly to Mega Man 4, while Taker does Magnet Man here.
Yeah, Mega Man also comes with a Proto Man fight, so speaking of mashing, you need to be pretty darn good to get Proto Man down as fast as possible. You can see Taker got him down on the left side of the screen, once to the right, then over to the left, and that's pretty good. A Mega Man 3, top runner of this game will get him down before he even touches the right wall, so twice as fast as Taker just did. It's crazy the way that you need to be able to mash while also maintaining full control over Mega Man's movement and jumping. So the skill ceiling on a lot of the stages here, especially Buster Only, is immense with Mega Man, and it's something that players are only going to reach a little bit higher for throughout the course of the season, but are simply not going to be able to get to the highest level. Their efforts are better spent across some of the other games, I feel. So here we stand in the end of Magnet Man. Devil Tifa got the balloon pickup in 4, and
I don't know why that slide. I thought they were going to fall to their death. I don't know. That very specific first one really tricked me. But I don't know why. The sliding and the charge shots make their appearance in Mega Man 3 and 4, and it's pretty funny to just getting used to having those options. Magnet Man is a scary fight, but you're taking hits intentionally, and Taker is just playing it safe right now. Probably don't want to die and are aiming for that gold star. They want to beat Devil Tifa here on Mega Man, but Devil Tifa is not stopping whatsoever and enters the Pharaoh Man fight. Pharaoh Man gave Sablier earlier one of the best patterns I've ever seen. You want Pharaoh Man to not do that. You never see them jump and hit. And yeah, staying close does not assure 100% that they are not going to rush at you. You want them to do those high jumps and those charge shots here. Oh, dodges.
Missing the final shot. It's all right. Everything under control. Devil Tifa did get hit holding a charge and lost it at one point, and that is always feels bad. You release that button expecting the hit, and so if you're not ready to repress the button and get charging again, you can lose even more time than you already lost from taking that hit. But Devil Tifa did a really good job of adjusting. Cellric is very low on health, so is absolutely going to happily grab the extra health that's in Top Man stage. It's, people come here because it's the fastest, but that health refill, I think, is a big reason why I go there, actually. There are not many guaranteed health refills in stages in Mega Man, and it is really hard to go fast and keep your health up. It's also hard to go fast on these top sections at the end of this level. Cellric waited a little bit, and Taker dies in Pharaoh Man stage. The checkpoint is not too far away, though, so this is not nearly as costly as deaths can be. However, as soon as someone takes a death, I start to think about possible game over situations.
Yeah, obviously, cannot sleep your mind. Game over means you go back to the start of the stage and you lose like 2-3 minutes depending on how long the stage was. Cellric dies on Top Man fights, still has lives, so it's okay. And virtually, if you mash and you stay close to the boss, you don't need to dodge on Top Man fights if you have full HP here. You just can stay close and tank all the hits, dodge a couple of charges, but you don't have to dodge the tops. Devil Tifa enters the Starman fight, one of the bosses we see often on this category, and I still don't understand the patterns, but here we go. You don't want to have them jumping on top of you, but sometimes they will, and they killed Taker or Seblier earlier, maybe both actually.
Yeah, Starman was a bit of a problem. It's not a problem this time for Devil Tifa. Just being really smart about the spacing and understanding that the hitbox on the stars looks massive, and it's pretty big, but it's not quite as big as it appears. So we'll see. Just one more hit here. Yeah, nice charge shot. When Starman's on the ground and releases the shield, he actually rises a little bit, and it's the difference between the hitbox on the charge shot and your regular buster means that your regular shots will actually go under him, but a full charge will hit him. So if you're trying to get your final shot, or you just lost your charge and you're trying to get one hit in, it feels pretty bad to watch those the little lemons sail right underneath Starman, even though it's clearly going right through his legs. It can be pretty mean, but Devil Tifa did a really good job just landing those charge shots, so not a concern. Heading to Gravity Man now. Taker is in Star. Taker is not a stage behind here. He did one extra in Magnet Man, so it's hard to say. But pretty close between Taker and Devil Tifa for the lead right now.
Well, Taker died, so I would take a wild guess and say that Taker is a little bit behind, but no! No, I said it! I'm sorry, that's still 100% my fault. Like, you mentioned something bad happening, and it happens again. That's the MSN Messenger situation.
Oh, he said it again, Jesus!
Yeah,
he was in the middle of the jump. I can't believe you... Alright. Maybe 100%, taking 100% fault is maybe a little self-important here. He is the one pressing the buttons and recovering from this death, actually doing a really good job jumping over that boss, dealing with these incredibly annoying little Met robot guys who swarm you. Is pretty close to the end of the stage here. Obviously, Devil Tifa is rolling into the boss fight, so we do know now that Devil Tifa is ahead, but it is still close, and there is still one more Robot Master left to kill in Mega Man 6. So we could see a last-minute grab, but it's going to mostly fall to Devil Tifa to make a mistake here.
Yeah, pretty much. Windman has some tricky jumps, so if Devil Tifa goes for everything, because maybe they're on PB pace or they want to play as good as they know, it's possible, but obviously they're a very consistent runner, and I'd be surprised if they make any mistake on the Windman stage. It's not the hardest one. Taker making good use of his buster here, killing Starman, and switching to Mega Man 6 as well. Sebli enters Mega Man 5, and Sarek enters Mega Man 5 as well. They just beaten Pharaoh Man, and yeah, here we go. So Stone Man as again for Sarek as Devil Tifa and Taker in Windman stage. Devil Tifa on the big room here before the checkpoint. That's where Taker died earlier. And you have to be careful with the wind here, not to hit the spikes on the ceiling. But they're on those platforms. Those platforms, you can make some crazy jumps if you want to save it one cycle, but Devil Tifa is not going for those. They know how difficult those jumps are, and are just playing it safe here.
I kind of want to keep an eye on Selrek to see what's going on with Stone Man stage. It's been forever since I had to even think about it, doing commentary, I guess, all the way back to the 46 Robot Masters tournament 2-3 years ago. But Devil Tifa and Taker is really the big story here. Taker jumping along on the Windman platforms. Devil Tifa has got that really evil panda to worry about. Not this one. It's this one coming up here at the end of this room. This was where Taker died.
No
Devil
problem.
Tifa does a perfect job of sort of manipulating that sideways projectile rather than the one that will zone you off the top of the ladder into the fight, and it's looking like Devil Tifa is going to have this locked up here.
They're so close to PB. Their PB on the category is 2011, and they're just like one tiny boss fight away to hit that the time. And yeah, feels like Devil Tifa is not going to be defeated on 2 days long games. The Messenger and Megaman twice, and they've proven that they're very consistent at both games. So here we go. Windman dies and Devil Tifa secures with that a first place on the leaderboard and a third gold star for their player card.
I suppose it's technically possible that Skunk Off did something truly amazing off stream to snatch it, but with a time like we just saw from Devil Tifa, I think chances are pretty good that he does indeed hold on. We'll go ahead and start putting the name on the trophy, on the star, I guess, is what we give away. And this is the end of Stone Man stage, I think, is what we're seeing here from Selrek. Doesn't have the super arrow that is kind of the thing about Mega Man 5, is the super arrow you get from beating Starman, I believe it is. Incredibly useful thing. It deals damage, it sticks to walls and lets you jump off of it. You can ride it like Rush Jet. It gets used all over the place in a speedrun of Mega Man 5 that is not Buster only, but here we are in our category where you don't get to go get the super arrow and carry it over to the stage. So seeing some new parts of Stone Man stage, riding on some platforms. We can take a look at the boss fight here. Selrek had a really long boss fight, was playing it pretty careful. They have more health this time and cut it pretty close on some of these jumps here, but we'll see how they're able to get this done here. Meanwhile, Sablier into probably the hardest section of Windman stage.
And they have very, very little HP, so first you don't have to fall. Megaman playing the back through Megaman 1 to 6, showed me how often you die to one-hit KOs and you don't care much about your health. The only part where health is very, very important are the boss fights. Obviously, when you're speedrunning and you're damage boosting through a lot of things, you want to keep your health as high as possible. And so it doesn't take too many hits here. You have to be careful with that enemy here. But yeah, no problem for them. And they're moving quickly, having a... Oh wow, that hit I did not expect. And they're getting to the evil mechanical pandas here. Only 2 HP left. Wow, anything will kill them at that point.
It's very, very easy to get hit here. We'll see what kind of... Yep, does manage to bait out the correct projectile. This is Mega Man 6, so there is no rush coil. This is not a strictly Buster-only category. It's just kind of what happens when you do a stage first. But some games give you tools to work with Selrek dying in Starman stage. But we are seeing Sablier taking a death here at Windman, going to get that health refill. But if you do have something else other than your Buster that you start with, you can use it. So, Mega Man 3 and 4, I think, give you a rush coil to work with. But Mega Man 6, not the case. So, unable to go get that health at the start of the fight, or before the boss corridor, rather, and instead opts to get health by just simply taking a death at the start of the fight. Even though, it would not be too unreasonable to just go for it, but we do see Sablé take a hit in the fight, so maybe it was the correct decision.
Alright, so Leah will finish on time. Sub 24 apparently. Their PB is 23:02, so not too far, but once again they're falling a bit short compared to what they can do, and they're a strong racer, and they're racing a lot, so I know they can do it. But we'll have Sarek finishing a little bit their Starman stage here, and it's 10 p.m. here, so it is 4 p.m. Eastern time, and there's lots of other things on Speed Gaming Network, but lots of admins are asking us to when are we leaving the stage, because there's another race coming up your way right now.
Yeah, the Super Mario Brothers 3 randomizer, I think, is being moved to Speed Gaming 3. So if you feel like you've already got the results here and you absolutely want to watch some Super Mario Brothers 3, you can find that starting very soon. So keep an eye out for that. A bot will message in chat when that race starts. But if you're going to stick around, thank you very much. Thanks especially for supporting Celeric in their final charge here. See what kind of time they can post, and indeed find out what our other 6 or 7 racers, how they did overall in this tournament. Find out who gets stars. I guess everyone's probably going to get a star. Someone almost got a star not posting any times at all, so probably only give stars to people who posted are actually racing. Celeric is pretty low on health, so is going to need to be rather defensive. Gets a jump very close. See, they're scared, so they're running away, but it's opening the door for these really scary jumps that Starman is doing. It's working out, though. See,
wow,
there,
so close.
The hitbox is not as big as it appears. That star was absolutely inside Celeric, but did not deal damage. This one, though,
wow,
what?
Where's the hitbox? Are the stars never hitting you, and it's only the boss hitbox that hits you? What
should
happened?
Hit.
I think so.
I was pretty sure that they'll hit you, but
apparently we have to do a little bit of experimentation, but we are going to see Tomahawk Man. I'm very amused with what you said, because that in a strange world where all the runners want the gold star, you could abuse the system. Everybody registers to the tournament and nobody passed the time. So everybody is tied first and everybody gets a gold star.
In a world where we're giving away actual gold stars, the collusion comes out.
Do you think like nobody would crack and pass the time? Like, do you think people would do it, or would you be scared and you run a little bit and be like, is anybody else racing?
you would need to give away like 3 gold stars to the top person, and then if people tie, everyone gets 1. So there's an incentive, like I can get more if I betray everyone. Then I think absolutely someone would absolutely crack. Maybe that's just my cynical nature. Celeric showing us Tomahawk Man here as the final robot master.
Those Me Too machines, and I don't know what the name of that guy is, but I love him. He comes your way and gives you a random refill. Sarek got an extra life, which is always welcome. You don't want to game over at any point. And Megaman 6 has some interesting enemies and gimmicks to the thing. They had to find ideas. Like after 6 Megamans, it was maybe pretty hard to find original bosses, but level design and enemy-wise, they did a fantastic job filling the world with many different things. And the second mini-boss here, Sarek is going to have to kill it as fast as possible. 80, thanks, chat.
I did know that one.
Oh,
Eddie
wow.
and Beat is the little bird. You absorb these things through osmosis when you commentate as many Mega Man tournaments as I have. I was looking at the wiki actually for some Mega Man 02 enemy names because I was doing commentary for that. And boy, the Zero series has some fantastic names for things and for bosses. It ditches the man. There's no, it's not Phoenix Man. It's Phoenix Magnion, but or Phoenix Magnon is maybe the more French pronunciation. But here we just got regular men, just men who throw tomahawks, men who shake their feathers, and men who pick up kills when the player is looking for a health refill, intentional death, and did not die in the stage. So we should have 2 lives. Mans, correctly. Yeah, sorry, not men, mans. We have many mans. And just one we're concerned about right now. Selric versus Tomahawk Man. Gets kind of cornered a little bit there. This is pretty common to see this sort of trading hits in this fight. You're just kind of trying to win the race.
Yeah, they're doing great here. Now I wonder if those are actual feathers or robotic feathers, and it's weird. Either case, it's weird. But Sarek takes a lot of hits here. Only has 2 hits left to land, and is going to go for the DPS race and gets it. And sub 30. Nice time. So both of Sarek's run today did beat their previous PB, so they're probably pretty happy with that.
Skunkov improved on their previous time in Megaman by about 40 seconds, but not enough to catch both Devil Tifa and Taker. I almost said Devil Taker. Devil Tifa is going to take the lead, the gold star, by 6 points over Taker, who died twice, maybe 3 times. There were some mistakes that were kind of made up by some stronger play, but overall the deaths outweighed the stronger play. Not enough to catch Devil Tifa. But Skunkov is going to take that silver star, and like you said, the fortress holds for the top 3.
Yep, Devil Tifa, Taker, Skunkov for gold and silver stars. Sablier, Sugitu, Sarek, and Cute Shadow beat all 3 games on time and got very, very close together. 571 for Cute Shadow and 581 for Sablier. So very close for players, but just like over 620 for Skunkov, Taker, and Devil Tifa. The gap between 3rd and 4th is immense. Medalo got totally undefeated on Megaman, but you cannot compete in the UD and go for the stars if you don't do all games. So sadly, it's not enough. Even with a 1914, their best race time, their PB on the category is 1854, which is about a minute, maybe a minute and 10 seconds from optimal. But can you really go for that? Like, I don't know what kind of time they'll grind on the category. But once you've learned like a lot of those bosses, maybe you're ready to tackle some Buster only runs on all those 6 games. I don't know.
It's interesting to see the disparities between everyone's Mega Man runs. Of course, Mr. Consistent Devil Tifa was just a second off on his second run, and pretty similar for Skunkov with 40 seconds. But Taker's was almost 2 minutes difference, Sablé 4 minutes difference, Soggy Toast 3 minutes difference. And 3 close to 4 for Cute Shadow as well. Everyone just had a wild variety, either getting better or worse in I guess trending towards better on the second run, which makes a lot of sense, warming up and getting more used to things. But it seems like Mega Man is a game that not many people are consistent at, and that makes a lot of sense. It's very easy to do a small mistake, die like we saw for Taker. And that can lead to game overs, and you're talking minutes difference for relatively small mistakes. So this is something I expect to see people get a little better at as the season goes on. We're talking the 2 hardest games here today, Messenger and Mega Man, and it's getting a time on there in this short a time is hard enough, but to then sort of try to get consistently good is incredibly difficult.
Talking about hard games, there's as well Rack, the only first-person shooter on the list, is one of the least ran game of the bunch, and we're going to have next week a tournament on that game. So if players starts learning the game, it may pay off dividends very quickly as for an easy gold star. But so many players now are on good or like even perfect on all games here. It's going to be very hard to take stars from away from Taker, Sugitus, Devil Tifa, and all those runners that are grinding those games very, very hard. So we'll see what happens. Tomorrow evening, same place, same time. We're going to play Neo Turf Master, Minute, and Trackmania 2. And on Saturday, we are going to play 4 different games that I totally remember the name, and I totally don't have to check. It's going to be Megaman, same category as today, Trackmania, Kirby, and Minute. So, you know, mixing all those games together, we are going to see all the same games for the entire season, obviously. So it's all about getting consistent and ready to race all those different games, whatever the conditions. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see if those players come back to Mega Man, if they get more consistent. Sugitus got a PB with a 23:46. I think their previous PB was 24 something. So players are getting better.
Absolutely, yeah. We are at a point where players have they're so early on in their sort of progress learning these games that it's actually fairly likely that they are going to get a new PB. It's just because they've only done so many attempts. So that is still pretty cool to see happen in a race. Congrats to Saki Toost, who was feeling a little down, I think, after the previous 2 runs of Mega Man and Messenger. So keeping it together, finishing strong, good to see.
So the Mario Brothers 3 randomizer tournament race has just started on Speed Gaming 3, so be sure to check that out. There are many races on Mega Mario 3 randomizer, and those tournaments are always a blast to watch. But Speed Gaming is not only limited to 2 games, is it?
Yeah, they've got, well, Kirby's Dream Land is also here on the Ultime Decathlon, but not today. But if you do want to see it today, you can find that this evening on Speed Gaming 1. The Wind Waker Randomizer weekly race is tonight rather. Of course, the Link to the Past Randomizer daily. The Zelda 2 Randomizer weekly race. The Zelda 2 is a game with a lot of history on Speed Gaming. It was the first tournament that we ever broadcast that wasn't the show that we did called Speed Gaming League. Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer comes back again later tonight, and Deltarune as well. So you can find all those games tonight and plenty more all throughout the week. Just _schedule in chat to find that stuff. And again, Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer starting right now on Speed Gaming 3. But that's it for us tonight in France.
Tonight in France, yeah. Have a good night, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.